Hi, everyone. Wanted to give you a quick update on Bentonville. A lot of people asking about Bentonville. We wanted to check it out. Josh Rugger and I made the trek up to Bentonville today. This is Trails End Drive. This is one of the many streets in Bentonville that have been impacted by damage, thunderstorm damage. But the question was it a tornado? Well, after multiple hours of extensively researching the radar data, and looking at the damage path, we had to find a convergent wind pattern. At first, it was a little difficult. The only reason that we're doing this, by the way, is because we actually saw video. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll show you again at 9 o'clock. We've got video of what's likely a tornado. Now, I know there's a chance, and we talked with Ed Calanisi with the Weather Service, the warning coordination meteorologist, one of the National Weather Service employees that's responsible for making the storm reports, for gathering all this information. But I can tell you that looking at that video, there's either one or two things. You got a forward flank from the storm that's coming into Bentonville, and then the RFD that's wrapping around the storm on the backside. While that does seem plausible, the radar showed a pretty strong circulation on the northwest side of Bentonville. So when we reviewed the WeatherBug network camera footage from our Midtown building square camera, the Bentonville Square, you could clearly see that there was in fact a rotation to the rain curtains. It started moving one direction, then it moved another, and then it started to turn the other direction from south to north. Now, this is Trails End Drive, what we believe is the northern edge of the path of a tornado that came through the northwest side of Bentonville. Highway 102, that most likely was straight line wind damage. Yes, there were a lot of trees that were down. Yes, there was a tornado west of Centerton, but a lot of trees were knocked down from west to east or northwest to southeast. Here's a look at all the trees that are down here. This neighborhood is decimated, and a lot of these trees are piled up on the side of the road. And look at this. We still have power lines that are down. Not only do we have power lines that are down, we have power poles that are still on the ground. So we know the weather is going to be a little bit turbulent for trying to get the power back on as we've got storm chances that remain. But here's power lines that are strung across the road. And we've got a power pole right here, along with transformers. These are the things that are exploding and causing those blue flashes that are out there. And so, was this a tornado? Well, here's the deal. We got up in a drone and was able to determine that there was a convergent wind pattern. How do we know this? Because some of the trees were moving from north to south. That was most of the trees. But there were a few trees near, what is it, Kohler?
Yes.
Kohler, which is just a little east of Pumpkin Hollow, that were moving from north to south, or excuse me, from south to north. So that is a different shift in the tree direction. Now, I can tell you, these things are really heavy. If you watch some of the earlier newscasts, probably about 150 pounds. But we can pick it up here, and that's about as high as I can get it because it's pretty heavy. This storm had a tremendous amount of power. There is no doubt about that. Trees all the way up and down the road. Now, here's the good news. We did a live shot on our newscast, KNWA and Fox, at 5, 5:30, and 6. And you'll notice, maybe a coincidence, maybe not, there are people that are starting to try to repair those power lines. And we know this is going to be a long, let's say, extended effort to try to get this back online. But for the residents at Trail End Place, and also areas to the west, Stonehenge. What was some of the other neighborhoods, Josh, that we had?
Hanover.
Hanover,
Yes.
another
Yes.
one.
A Street was significantly impacted. We had
Yes,
some road closures there.
from trees that were knocked down. So
Yes. Yes.
now you see this tree. It's a very large tree. The root ball is pulled up, but this tree is facing southeast. This road runs almost due west to east. So trees that are pulled southeast, that would be on the northern edge of the tornado. Now, there were a lot of other trees that were pulled southeast. This is a very tricky and complicated damage pattern. But in just to the south of this neighborhood, there are a lot of trees that are down. Some of them mixed up a little bit, but not as much of a convergent wind pattern as you would like to see to be definitive for a tornado. So we worked our way a little bit west. We got the drone up in the air. It's our belief that this was rear flank downdraft combined with a little tornado that was pretty wide that had multiple vortices that kind of skipped along the hilltops. So if you were higher up, you saw a lot more damage. Now some of the ravines also had damage, which is like, okay, well, straight line winds can come down the ravine, but not when trees are down in different directions. And so that was definitive. We passed the Weather Service information. We passed the information to the Weather Service, and they're saying, yep. Then they want to see our video. I'll show it to them. Convergent wind pattern, trees pointing to each other. That's what we're looking for.
And all this lines up on radar as well.
It does.
That's what we were doing. We were keeping an eye on the radar. We had the radar files while we were going through the damage to kind of see where that tornado may have touched down.
And it was exactly in the area. It was exactly
on there.
In the area.
Yes.
Now, keep in mind, the radar beam's obviously higher up above the ground.
Yes.
This is the kind of stuff that I love to do. Figure out, analyze it. I know the Weather Service is not done surveying. They know they have a lot more work ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
They said they might have the vehicle rented out until June 15th. As, they're going to be doing this for a little while. Now, I can tell you that they are interested in War Eagle. If that was one continuous damage path all the way from War Eagle to Clifty. They also thought that maybe the tornado might be a little wider. Work our way south here. Or work our way to the west.
To the west.
Yeah.
Trails End.
Got to know your directions when you're doing this.
Yes.
But yeah, look at all these homes that were hit. Look at these trees.
Just awful.
Everything's just damaged everywhere. And we know that this is not unusual for this neighborhoods in Bentonville. There's neighborhoods all over.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 50,000 trees that have been knocked down.
And you know, we were talking about this too, Dan, and you made this point about the shallow root system,
Yeah.
right? We had all that rain that moved through the area, and you know, these were non-severe thunderstorms that pushed into northwest Arkansas. And you can see the tree surface right there. Those folks really hard at work right now getting everything cleared off.
Arkansas Electric Cooperatives.
Yes.
Those are the power people trying to get those power lines back on, cut the trees, and
yes, right after the live shot too.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, as
But
well.
what you were saying is,
yes,
the root balls are pretty shallow.
Yeah,
you can
check
see
that
they're
out.
not very deep.
Yes, and
so
yeah.
after that, if you get a lot of rain, as you were mentioning, Josh,
mm-hmm.
like you were saying,
exactly. Then you get a strong thunderstorm like this, severe thunderstorms that were very widespread too. It was almost like the perfect storm for just widespread tree damage. You talked about this, Dan. You've been up here for a long time. You've been storm chasing for even longer.
Yeah.
And you've never seen extensive tree damage like this before.
This
it
is pretty wild.
Unbelievable how much tree damage there is over such a wide area too.
The thing that I think this relates to is when Ike came through in the Springdale area. But that was just like Springdale and a few other spots that had trees that were knocked down. But Ike that happened in September 13th of 2008. So
yeah.
That's what we're having.
Check it out.
There's some of the residents right there.
Yes,
You
yes.
can see them.
Hard at work right now.
Doing some tree climbing.
Yeah.
You gonna pick that up? No, I don't think pick that up. Yeah.
They do some Olympic stretches there and stuff
those
like
are
that.
some heavy trees. I mean,
Yeah.
trees are heavy as in general. Wood
Yes.
is heavy, and it's hard to believe that just a little thing like this could probably weigh maybe 10 pounds. And you combine that with a giant tree. It's pretty crazy. So coming up at 10 o'clock, we'll give you that definitive path. We'll show you it. It's on the northwest side of Bentonville. It passes northwest to the southeast of the Bentonville Square. And I think that's about it. We got to run. I've got a little meeting that I got to get to.
Yeah, nonstop.
All right.
Yes.
Bye,
God bless
guys.
everybody.
Sorry we couldn't answer any comments, but we'll catch you later.
Yes.